Hello folks, how you all doing? Hope you're all keeping well. Right, this weather is absolutely gorgeous. So we are taking full advantage of this fine weather and we're going to carry on with the timber work on Bernard. Right, let's see how we get on. In this episode of Rebuilding Bernard, we're going to be looking at the tool lockers. Now, this is one I have previously repaired and of course stupidly didn't record it. The actual structure of the locker itself was fine, but the lid was completely rotted away, and so was the bottom strip here where the hinges went. This bit of timber has been reclaimed from a Bedford RL, which is currently undergoing a bit of a makeover by my friend Ian. So this one now is in lovely, superb working order. Beautiful. Job done. There's two more on the other side. Now I know I said that in this video I was going to be doing electrics, etc, 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 but I'm still in the bodybuilding mode. I'm in the zone. So while I'm in the zone, let's continue. This is the other locker. As you can see, this is actually an original lid. The difference on the original lids are they're a bit more engineered. So a solid piece of hardwood, but the sides have been routed out and there's a strip of metal. One, to stop the hardwood from warping. Two, to give it a bit of extra strength. As you can see, this side is not weathered quite as well, but the passenger side one was completely knackered, absolutely ruined. So there is a possibility at some stage in the future I will take that lid off, route the sides and insert a piece of metal to make it look the same, but for the time being it's all good. And that one, as I said before, you know, we're trying to preserve, not necessarily replace. We're going to replace what we have to replace. Yes, it is looking a bit knackered, a bit split, but overall it is still really solid. So as far as I'm concerned, we're going to keep that for the time being. Right, the next locker should go here. Slightly larger locker. I've been putting this on last because this needs the most amount of work basically, and it has been on the spares pile. So that is basically what's left of this locker. It seems to have taken the brunt of everything. Now the tin work, the sides are fine, the bottom, as you can see, is well and truly pitted. Although pitted, it is still solid. So we will get the wire wheel grinder on there and clean up as much as we can and see what it looks like. If it is completely pitted and whole, then we'll obviously have to replace it, but if we can save it, we'll save it. Problem is just the timber work really. As you can see, this one is a tad rotten. So it's tongue and groove, the same as the side planks. And this is why we said you don't throw anything away. We have some side planks remaining, and this should just be enough, he says, hopefully, to repair that. This is the back section of it. As you can see, again, a bit rotten, but just made out of a tongue and groove piece on the back support. Lovely original paint, oodles of patina. So that is the plan, to repair this one, get it installed next to that one, and then after that, underneath here, the jerry can holder goes. It's fairly standard, period correct. 2-can jerry can holder. They're actually getting quite difficult to find these. I had to find two for the Doris, the Fortune Watt 6. It took quite a while. I mean, they are out there, but you really do have to hunt for them. So they seem to get a bit scarce. When people have got them, they're just not letting go. And that basically goes from the bottom up here. So those two bolts there. There should be another timber at the back. Supports the jerry can holder. No, I should be doing electrical work, but I'm in the bodybuilding zone, so why not crack on and get that done. Following that, again, been looking at the timbers along the side here. It would appear Sapele, with all other building materials, has gone up ridiculously. It is stupidly priced. I will look at other hardwoods, but Sapele does seem to be still the cheaper one of all the hardwoods. Hence why the floor has not been done anytime soon. Right, let's get cracked on, see what we can get done. Bit of a closer view on this locker. As you can see, it needs a bit of work. Now, it was over a year ago when I took it apart, so I was just trying to remember exactly how it gets reassembled. Now, this back piece, it's got a hole cut here. Can't remember why. And it has a slot cut there. Again, can't remember why. Now, they look pretty purposeful, but I'm thinking they may have been cut when it had been converted to a recovery truck to allow one of the U-bolts for the crane to pass through. I think, but I'll double check. Also, it line up perfectly. One thing I did notice was, for some reason, this top corner don't join. Why, I don't know at the moment. Once it goes back on Bernard, it's probably going to be fairly self-explanatory, but at the moment, I'm not sure. So, something to look forward to. We shall find out why. It's a big mystery. Basically just tongue groove timbers, the two sides. So this bottom section here is the only full length piece that's there. So that's going to be the bit we're going to be working from. Width wise, we shall measure between the new cross members to make sure this still fits, or whether it needs to be adjusted ever so slightly. It should all fit, because it was all measured before it was taken apart. So we will cut our new tongue groove to fit the full length of this one here at the bottom. So that'll keep all our measurements the same. The front section here is just a strip there, and that's obviously one of the mounting points for the jerry cans. And that there, if you can see the outline there, is where the old one would have been. So the construction's fairly basic. It is just panhead bolts bolted on, fixed together. So that is probably the way we will put it back together. Right, I will set up the chop saw, measure up some timber, and get cracking on. So it would be considerably easy just to cut all the little bolts off, take them apart, just replace them. But things are damned expensive these days, and these are originals. I know some people are going to say it's going to step too far. You save your knees, but why not? If they come apart, why not? Yes, it takes more time, but it's a hobby at the end of the day. It's not like, you know, I'm being paid for any time doing this. As you can see on the first one, it just snapped anyway. We get the second one. Now, if you're just replacing nuts and bolts on something a bit modern, if you're using metric stuff, I can just tell you by experience it is considerably cheaper. Considerably cheaper. BSF and Whitworth, due to the low demand on them, even just your regular Imperial, UNF and USC, the price is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And if I don't use them here, they may get used somewhere else, or Bernard. So if you can save them, save them. I say you can't save all of them. In fact, at this rate, we're going to save less than half. But half is still half. Forget that one. And that one. And that one. That's the reason we're replacing solid timber. That's how bad it is. So I can't even use that for a pattern. Just totally knackered. Well, as predicted, everything has become quite clear. So, this panel, one with the hole in it, basically is for that mounting point which holds the bearer down on the chassis. So I knew there was a reason for it. I thought it was for the crane. I was wrong. It was actually an original fitting for the body mount. So basically, it does effectively go like that, but on the other side of the bolt. Yes, a bit of a pain. It's not the end of the world. We'll slide that bolt out, put the panel in. And then that is the reason why the other bit was short. So there's a bit of timber. So this is all rotted out when I got it, so it was difficult to remember. And the camera angle's a bit of a pain. So effectively we have a bit of timber that fits up across there on that side. And obviously we need a longer bit, so it bolts the other side there. And that is the part of the backing plate for that bit of tin. And that for the locker. Like I say, excuse the camera angle, but I'm trying to do everything with one-handed here. So, yeah. That basically fits in like that. Hence why it was short on that end and short on that end. So, all has become clear. Right, let's carry on. Right, the bits we're keeping have now been disassembled into the actual major parts. So there is, as I say, one side, two side, and the base, which we are now in two minds whether or not to keep. Basically, this is not structural at all. The timber is a structural bit. This is literally a protection layer at the top. It is pitted, it has got holes in it, but it doesn't do anything structurally. It's literally a protective layer over the timber. So I am still in two minds whether or not I'm going to keep it or replace it. We'll see how well it cleans up. For the sake of a coat of paint and being inside of the locker, is it worth keeping an original bit, which has no structural value whatsoever, other than a bit of protection of the timber or replacing. We shall see. Right. This, you can see, is the worst bit there. So we will have to weld in a new ceiling on the bottom edge there. But for starters, we're going to clean off, if you can see all this, all this rust, delaminated bits here. Simplest way for that is either a hammer like that, or one of the, I can't remember what they're called now, hammers with a very pointed tip on it is ideal really. So you're literally just going in there, and you're breaking the worst of it off. The reason I do this is because the wire brush doesn't always get this off. Also, the benefit of using this hammer like this is you can actually get right into the corner. Just reshape as we go. So it doesn't look too bad now, the worst of it's off. We'll still run the grinder over there with a wire wheel. Now using the grinder, it's one of those particularly messy, unpleasant jobs, basically de-rusting stuff. So, wear a mask, wear goggles, be prepared. Considerably cleaner. That is all the crud and crap taken off now. And whilst doing it, got some numbers stamped on the back. Didn't see them before. Maybe whoever originally cut this and stamped it. Who knows? 586. A bit of history, don't know what it is, it's nice to find. Right, I will continue cleaning the rest of them up and get it prepared to do a bit of welding. So the worst of the cleanup's been done, and interestingly enough, or not, depends how boring you think it is, but we have found the numbers 586 on that piece, 586 in that piece, and 586 in that piece. Possibly this was the, just, I don't know, maybe the ID number of the sheet metal worker who cut them. Who knows? Either way, nice little bit of history. All three parts are all original. They've been replaced. If anyone knows what the numbers are for or why they'd be stamped in there, put it in the comments box and let us know. Okay, I've cleaned the base up with a wire wheel, and yes, it's got more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese, to be perfectly honest with you, but there's one thing which means we have to keep it. It also was made and cut by the same person, so that's it. It's an omen. Whether it looks like a tea bag or not, it is staying. So the plan is just to put a new strip along the bottom edge here. The sides are all fine, but this is slightly perforated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it back just to about here, just to a good edge. I want to keep this little bit of a curve here. I could cut further back and put a new bend in it, but I don't really see the point. So I'm going to cut it back just to a good edge and then weld a small piece in. We have an offcut there. We have the guillotine, which will cut it and fit it. Yeah, this guillotine is normally bolted down, but I took it out when I needed a bit more space. I haven't used it for a while, hence why I've not properly bolted back in again. If you're doing metal work, these are an absolute godsend. Cost me like 35 quid off eBay. Bit of a lump to get posted, admittedly, but well worth it. So you know when you have like a dozen clamps for welding and you can't find any of them? Right. I mean quite literally none. Sod's law. You're gonna be just bloody annoying, aren't you? Yes, you are. Stay. Any professional welders out there watching, I can only apologise now, even by my own standards. That's bloody awful, but it is thin metal welding. And if you are a welder, or you have welded thin metal before, you know how incredibly painful it is to join up the dots so it doesn't totally warp. But we will get there. It's going to take a bit more welding, fill up these bits here, and just keep grinding it till we get the required shape. But it'll be fine when it's done, but at the moment it affectionately knows what's called a pigeon poo. But here's what it is. Thin piece of metal. So it's only about 1.2 mil, something like that, so it's not exactly a chassis, but we'll get there. I've seen worse. That's the way I look at it. We'll plod on. Right, it's been cleaned up and sort of dressed and had a bit of primer on there. And you know what, I'm going to put my hands up and say it is not my best work. It's really not. But it is underneath the truck at the end of the day. It adds patina, as we like to say. But yeah, it's solid. It's workable. But am I happy with it? Nah, not really. It's just the way it goes sometimes. So the rebuilding is underway now, and I thought before I get too carried away, I better take a bit more video in. So that is the back plate we talked about earlier. As you can see, the body clamp there runs through it. So a little bit of modification required to get that back in. So we thought, job done. That's one problem out of the way. We cut a bit of timber to go in the back there, which was coach bolted in. Lovely job, nice and secure. Last another 80 odd years. So the side panels need to go on next. And this is obviously where we found a problem on the reassembly. I say it was a while ago since this was removed, and it was all rotten, so it wasn't necessarily entirely clear. So our repair panel is supposed to fix up to the side there, but it would appear it should go behind that bracket. Only by about ½ inch needs to slip behind that bracket. Damned annoying, but that is another problem to overcome. Also, what I was unaware of on assembly was all the coach bolts on this side need to be countersunk slightly so the other panel could be screwed to that side. Just one problem going on to the next problem. Ah, the joy of restoration and preservation. Going from one problem to the next. Loving life. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, he's just trimmed that bit of metal down, isn't he? But no, honestly, I can assure you I made every effort to tuck that behind the bracket. Honest. So next job is going to be countersinking these coach bolts slightly. From memory, I've got a feeling these ones here were original countersunk coach bolts. So they were totally flat and like taped on the inside so they pull in more. They're not that easy to get hold of. You can get them, but they're not that easy. So you have to take each one of these out one at a time and countersink it slightly. Now, if you're not too familiar with doing this, my advice is take the nut off, take the washer off. Easier said than done. Come here, you little bugger. Come on. Right, wash it off. Put the nut back on. Screw the nut basically level with the top of the bolt there. The reason we're doing this is when you belt it with a hammer, you're not going to totally knacker up the thread. That has pushed through, thread not damaged. Now we know it's loose, we can screw it back on a little bit. Just back up ever so slightly. Be careful when you do it this time, because now obviously there's less thread on there, but as it's already moved, there, they're on the way. Now you should be able to gently just tap the rest through without damaging the coach bolt. Right, that's the first coach bolt removed. Now, just to countersink it slightly, we're basically going to be using a flat wood bit. Now, ideally, this is supposed to be used for hole drilling up to this on the 30mm. Before, you have this hole here. Obviously, the point is your guide, but we have a hole here now, so it's a bit of a problem. Luckily for us, this is not going to be seen again, because it could jump around and be a little bit messy. But the general idea is start slow. There we go. Right, that is sunk in now, probably about 3mm, which is more than enough for the actual head of the coach bolt to go through. So we'll get a bit of paint in this one, bit of copper slip on the bolt, put it back in. I've got to do that for all 5. Right, there'll be a bit of paint on there. Coach bolt. And hopefully it's deep enough. Beautiful. Right, 4 more to go. Right, that's job done. All 5 countersunk. Ready for stage 2. Right, time for a cup of tea and a slice of cake. Right, that's the last bit installed, so now we effectively have our frame. So, next job is to work out the tongue and groove. Now, I've had a quick look, and I think I'll get it hooked on there. We're going to be desperately short. So, overall depth there 26.5 inches. We need to step back 1 inch for the locker lid, so 25.5 inches. By 23. Now, this is all that's left. Not a lot. They are 5.5-ish, 5.5. Right, we're only going to get 1 piece out of that timber. We're going to get 1 piece out of that timber. That. It's not even worth doing that one. It's just knackered on both ends. I mean, that's out of desperation, that piece, basically. And we've got this raggedy old bit here. I know you're looking thinking, well, that timber's useless. Part of it's useless, but we still have part of the tongue on the other side, so they could be cut down for a beginning piece or an end piece, whichever way, how we run it. The last bit here, this bit here, that's a smaller timber. So that one is, what's that, 4 inch? God, this is going to be tight. Bloody tight. Alright, let's start cutting and see what I can do. Well, we've done it. Yes, it is a bit of a patchwork quilt, but we have 25.5 inches. Perfect. Bearing in mind this is the inside and will be covered with that lovely piece of patinaed metal that will cover it. So yeah, job's a good one. And basically that is it. That's all the timber left over from Bernard. Not bad. Nothing gone to waste. Lovely job. Fits like a glove. What I'll probably do is I'll probably take them all out and put a bit of wood glue between them before they get fitted in permanently. If anything, it'll just keep moisture getting between the joints, but I'm happy with that. Nice fit. So we need one more bit of timber. Gets cut under here and fixed on. That's where the hinges go for the actual door itself. So we're going to have to scrounge a little bit more timber. I have no idea where from. The last locker is nearly complete. The timber floor is in. The metal protection sheet is on now. I'm just putting the last couple of bolts in. A couple more to drill across the back. They secured down to some L-shaped brackets underneath, which are just for support. And then it is onto the door. Get the door done and that'll be it. Job finished. Another step complete. The front edge is on. It's now actually starting to look like a complete locker. So, locker lid to do. Jerry can holder to mount. Now this may sound a bit strange, but this is one of those defining moments in a project like this. When you fit something as simple as a jerry can holder, you know you're nearing the end. The jerry can holder is one of those items that's basically known as the salad dressing, or basically the bling. These are the items that get fitted right at the end. These are the items you've been waiting for the last year and a half to put back on the vehicle. The little finishing touches. you know you're almost there. And it's very, very satisfying. Make, do and mend. That is the saying here for Bernard. So the last locker lid is actually made up again from recycled RL timbers. Now, we didn't have a big enough timber for this lid, so I've had to actually glue 2 pieces of timber together and shape it to fit. And to be fair, it don't look bad. I'm not sure what timber it is. It might be ash, but it's a lovely timber to work with, and the grain is absolutely gorgeous. It's a pity it has to be painted, it really is. It's just got such a nice grain, but that is in essence 2 bits glued together to make the locker lid. Right, we're on the home straight now. Well, that's one side almost complete. Bun has now started to look like a real Matador again. The salad dressing down there, added bling of jerry cans, and one lovely finished locker. Just got to add the chain on it. Then we get the side rails on. They've been ordered the timber now. Don't ask how much it was. It's just stupidly expensive for 9 meters of Sapele. But beautiful. Now, I know you're thinking that latch does look a bit wonky. It's not exactly wonky. As you can see, it's had a previous repair. And as a nod to Bernard's working life, we're going to leave it as it is. That's fine. It's all part of the history. Well, that's the end of this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. That's all the lockers completed. So that's another job ticked off the list. If you have enjoyed the video, please tick the like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.